My name is Anna, and I always thought I had the perfect life. My husband, Daniel, was the embodiment of success, an accomplished career man, a caring husband, and a true gentleman. We had been married for 7 years, and all our friends called us the picture-perfect couple. Every morning, he left the house with a kiss and a promise to return by evening. Our weekends were filled with cozy breakfasts at home or walks in the park. It felt like we had everything: stability, trust, and love. But things started to change a few months ago. At first, it was subtle. Daniel started staying late at work more often, claiming he was overwhelmed with important projects. His phone was always by his side, but the screen remained dark, and he began answering calls in another room. One evening, when he came home late again, I joked, "Well, it seems like I've become a weekend wife." He laughed, but it sounded nervous. "Don't worry, darling," he said, kissing my forehead. "It's just a busy season at work." I tried to calm myself, but the unease stayed. Something felt off, and I couldn't shake the feeling. The next morning, as I was going about my day at home, my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but I decided to answer. "Hi, is this Anna?" a woman's voice asked on the other end. "Yes, this is Anna." "Who's calling?" I replied, confused. "My name is Elisa, and I know this might sound strange, but your husband, Daniel, he's not who you think he is." I froze. My heart started racing, and my mind was overwhelmed with questions. "Excuse me? I don't understand what you mean," I said, trying to keep calm. "He's living a double life, Anna. And I know because I'm his other wife." My legs nearly gave out, and I almost dropped the phone. "This must be a mistake," I whispered. "You're joking?" "I wish it were a joke," she replied. "But I can prove it. We've been married for 3 years, and I thought he was honest with me. But now I've learned that he's been hiding you this entire time." I was speechless. My mind refused to process what I was hearing. "Why are you calling me? Why now?" I asked, trying to understand her motives. "Because I deserve the truth too, Anna. If you want to know more, meet me. I'll show you everything." Before I could respond, she hung up. I sat there in silence, my thoughts spinning. Was this real? Could it be true? Or was this some kind of cruel joke? That evening, when Daniel came home, I tried to act as normal as possible. But every move he made, every word he said, seemed suspicious now. I looked at him and thought, who are you really? The next day, I couldn't sit still. My mind raced as I prepared to meet Elisa. We had agreed to meet at a small cafe in the city center in the afternoon. My heart was pounding so loudly, I could hardly think. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a corner table. Elisa was beautiful, confident, yet her eyes carried sadness. She stood up as I approached, offering her hand. "Anna, thank you for coming." I nodded, unable to say much. We sat down, and she reached into her bag, pulling out a stack of photos and documents. "I know this is hard to believe," she began, "but this will explain everything." She slid a photo across the table. It showed Daniel holding her hand in front of a city hall building. He was wearing a suit, and she was in a wedding dress. The date on the photo was from 3 years ago when we were already married. "This was our wedding day," she said, her voice trembling slightly. My stomach dropped. I picked up the next photo. It showed Daniel sitting beside Elisa and a little boy who looked about 2 years old. "This is our son, Lucas," she said quietly. I couldn't breathe. My mind refused to accept what I was seeing. "How is this possible?" I whispered. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I was lied to as well. I found your address on a receipt in his things." At first, I thought it was a mistake, but then I started digging deeper. I sat in silence, staring at the photos. My perfect marriage was unraveling before my eyes. Why did you come to me? Why not confront him directly? I finally asked. She lowered her gaze. Because I wanted us both to know the truth. Together. In that moment, a chilling thought crept into my mind. If she was able to find me, could there be others? Was Elisa the only one? That evening, I couldn't wait any longer. I had the photos, the documents, and the undeniable proof that my husband was living a double life. I was done pretending everything was fine. When Daniel walked through the door, I was waiting for him in the kitchen. The evidence was spread out on the table in front of me. My hands were trembling, but I was determined to get the truth. Anna, what's all this? He asked, stopping in his tracks as he noticed the serious look on my face. Sit down, I said coldly, pointing to the chair across from me. He hesitated, confusion and unease flickering across his face, but he obeyed. I slid the photo of him and Elisa on their wedding day across the table. He picked it up, and his face went pale. For a moment, he didn't speak. What is this? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. You tell me, I shot back, my voice shaking with anger. I know about Elisa. I know about Lucas. I know everything. He lowered the photo, his hands shaking now too. Anna, I wanted to tell you. I didn't know how. Tell me? I nearly laughed at his pathetic attempt to explain. You wanted to tell me that you've been married to another woman for 3 years? That you have a child with her? That you've been lying to me every single day? He tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled away. Don't touch me, I snapped. You've ruined everything, Daniel. Everything. His head dropped, and he stared at the table in silence. It wasn't supposed to go this far, he finally muttered. Go this far? I repeated, my voice rising. You've been living a lie for years, and now you expect me to believe that it just got out of hand? He finally looked up at me, tears in his eyes. Anna, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I made a terrible mistake, and I don't know how to fix it. I shook my head, the anger giving way to heartbreak. You don't fix this, Daniel. You leave. Anna, please let me explain. No. I cut him off, standing up from the table. I don't want your explanations. I don't want your lies. I don't even want to see your face anymore. Tomorrow you pack your things and leave. Do you understand me? He sat there, stunned, as I turned and walked out of the room, slamming the bedroom door behind me. For the first time in years, I felt like my life was my own again, but it was shattered beyond repair. The next morning, when I woke up, the house felt eerily quiet. Daniel had already left, and true to my words, he had packed his belongings and was gone. On the kitchen table, he left a short note. Anna, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm truly sorry. I'll stay out of your life as you asked. I hope you find the happiness I failed to give you. Daniel. I stared at the note, feeling a wave of conflicting emotions. Sadness, anger, relief. It all crashed over me at once. His words felt hollow, like a final attempt to ease his own guilt. The man I thought I knew was gone, replaced by a stranger I could no longer trust. A few days later, I met with Elisa again. She looked as drained as I felt, her usual confidence replaced by exhaustion. He left me too, she said, sipping her coffee. He didn't even try to explain himself. Just packed his things and vanished. Did you expect him to fight for you? I asked, bitterness creeping into my voice. No, she admitted. But I guess I hoped he wasn't as much of a coward as he turned out to be. We sat in silence for a moment before she added, I looked deeper into his life, you know. There were others? Others? My stomach churned at the thought. She nodded. I found emails, messages. He's been living this way for years, even before me. I think it's just who he is. A liar, a manipulator. I clenched my fists under the table, anger boiling inside me. 7 years of my life wasted on a man who had never been who he claimed to be. In the following weeks, I began to rebuild my life. I sold the house, unable to live in a place filled with memories of a marriage built on lies. I moved to a small apartment in a quiet town where I could start over. For the first time in years, I focused on myself. I enrolled in a writing class, something I'd always dreamed of doing, but never had the courage to pursue. Slowly, I began to rediscover who I was outside of my marriage. One day, I received an envelope in the mail. It was from Daniel. My hands trembled as I opened it, but before I could read the letter, I stopped. I didn't need his words anymore. I didn't need his apologies or explanations. I took the letter outside and set it on fire. Watching it burn felt like the final step in letting go of the past. Daniel's betrayal broke me, but it also gave me the push I needed to find myself again. His lies may have destroyed our marriage, but they couldn't destroy me. Now I am stronger, I am wiser, and I am free.
Please subscribe to our channel Stellar Stories. We have new amazing stories coming out every day. Thank you.